Hello again, and welcome to the 365 Retirement Podcast with Sam Liang and the team at Rubino and Liang Wealth Partners. My name is Randy Cook. I'm here each week with Sam and the team. We have Ryan come in, we have John come in, and we just talk through some of the things that are going on out there that might concern you as you're getting ready for retirement. Maybe you're in retirement, you've got questions. You're getting ready for retirement, you've got questions. Sam, you're the guy who takes all the questions.
I was going to say, I hope you're not asking me for like a recipe on my favorite dinner or something. But yes, when it comes to retirement planning, getting prepared to retirement, and also, more importantly, through retirement, enjoying it with as little bit of worries as possible. That's why we have this podcast / video, and great to be here today.
Well, it is.
What are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about some of the financial news and some of the things about the R word. We're going to talk recession today because there's still...
I was wondering what the R word was. Okay.
Still a lot of people out there that say we're either in a recession and we don't know it, and later on we're going to look back and say, oh yeah, we were in a recession, or a recession is coming. And so I found an article that talked to 6 different financial professionals, and they said, if we go into a recession, these are the things that you need to do. So I've got 5 here. It says, build up your cash reserves, pay off your high-interest debt, consider adjusting your risk by rebalancing, don't try to time the market, and just stay calm. So let's go through these, Sam. Take a look at that list, see what pops out to you, and if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I would say those are all important, and there's always naysayers and believers, and there's been talk about recession since literally the end of the pandemic, hasn't it? Or not the end of but as it was getting more into it in 2022 after the market dropped. But the reality is, with the exception of a few hiccups, and there's always going to be hiccups, I mean, listen, the economy's still pretty darn strong. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. The flip side of that is, how long can it last, right? So we're going to go through cycles in all of our adult lifetimes. It's probably less meaningful if it happened to you during your 40s than it is if you are 63 and you're going to retire 2 years from now. So, I think all those bullet points are spot on. What were they? Having a good cash reserve. I think that's important. Mm-hmm. I think at a minimum 6 months. Okay. We all learned during the pandemic, hey, anything can happen. You might not go to work tomorrow, and if you don't have enough money to pay the bills, that's a problem, right? So if the government didn't come out with the PPP and bailed out a lot of businesses, a lot of employees would have been, in big trouble, not being able to say pay their essential bills, their mortgages. So having at a minimum 6-month supply, cash flow is super important. What were the other bullet points?
The other one was to pay off your high interest debt, which is something that you and I have talked about a lot before you get into retirement.
Love it.
It just gives you more power of the money that you've saved.
I had a review meeting just recently. Gentleman's working for a computer company. They're doing a early volunteer, early package, and he was considering taking it. And then one of the things he was telling me is that, listen, I'm going to get like 2 years worth of severance, and I might use that to pay off some consumer debt. Mm-hmm. So sometimes like every nook and cranny of what the clients are doing, and the other times they don't tell you everything. And this person did not tell me he was $250,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
That's a big number. So, part of that was like a HELOC. No big deal. It used to be 3-4%, but now it's 8 or 9%. Mm-hmm. But consumer debt, like a high yield credit card, those things are a silent killer. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody's ever going to pay off a 29.99%, interest rate on your credit card. So get rid of those. Sometimes you can't help it. Things happen and you get into debt, or you need to take a cash advance on your credit card. But many times you can. Just don't buy it if you can't afford it, that type of thing.
Well, there's good debt and there's bad debt, too. You talk about high-interest credit cards, or that maybe your house is at a 2 or 3 or 4%. You've had that for years. Maybe leave that, but pay off the credit cards. Take on that big stuff.
That's exactly right. That's why there's a lot of people that want to move, but they're not moving because they can't get a new mortgage at their old mortgage rate at 2.75%. But if you have high interest debt, like a consumer debt, credit card debt, do your best to get rid of that, because paying the minimum balance it's a never-ending cycle. You're never going to go anywhere, and it's just a very slippery slope. But really, Randy, I think of all those things, the last thing that you said was stay calm. I would raise my hand and say, in my opinion, staying calm and staying the course is the most important thing, because you can always go back and just review what you've done. You know, having a plan is a lot different than just simply having a bunch of accounts. We always say that. But if you have a plan, you can always go back and review that. And as a result of that, you can stay calm. You know, you don't have to make rational decisions. You know, let me sell, let me, you know, it's going to keep going. Let me get rid of it. I mean, case in point, here's a good example. Just about 3 weeks ago, between, say, August, I think it was maybe July 31st to August 6th or August 7th, it was about a week, every day was big numbers, all red.
Right.
And we went down about 7 or 8%. And people were panicking. You can tell, hey, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? And if you made some emotional decisions and you got out because your little, you know, the little bird on your shoulder told you to do that, you'd have missed all of the up.
Right.
Which right now, again, we're on an all-time high. We, you know, it took maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but we're back to where we started a month ago and beyond. So I think that's really important, not to panic, but how do you do that? How do you not panic? And the answer is having a comprehensive retirement plan that you might have done a year ago, and it laid out and it said, look, you know, if you earn an average of, say, 5 or 6%, and you live to 95 and you take out X amount of dollars, your money's going to last you through the lifetime. But if you were to have a recession, which, you know, eventually it's going to come, and if you actually go back and rerun some of those numbers, so maybe you take a look at, hey, instead of a 6% average, what would it look like if I had a 4% average? And what would that take me 10 years from now? How would it look like if I were going to buy a second home? Or what if the recession came? Can I still afford to buy that second home? What would happen if I said I was going to retire at 62 and the recession came? Do I still retire at 62? Can I pull it off? Or do I have to work a few years longer? So, you know, once you have those plans in place and the data in place, that's going to really give you that sounding board and the reassurance when a recession eventually comes that you're going to hopefully be okay.
Well, you know, there's that great sage of financial wisdom, Mike Tyson, who said, a plan is fine until you get punched in the face, right? So this is what happens when a recession hits. Inevitably, we're going to have a market downturn. So we talk about having a plan, and we want to build that into the plan, you know, and say, okay, we're going to go through those ups and downs, but we are going to have a plan for that, so you don't have to panic and be calling your financial professional, go, am I okay? Am I okay?
And there
that's
are
already
times
built in.
that might not happen, right? You might have gone outside the guardrails a little bit. And as a financial professional, our job is to make sure that you maintain within those guardrails. And if you're going to go off, we bring you back in. You know, so having a plan, which again is something that we've always suggested, much different than just having a bunch of accounts and keeping your fingers crossed. Having a plan is where it's at.
And I think that when you talk to a financial professional, this is one of the questions you should ask, the what if questions. What if the market goes down? What if we go into a recession? What if inflation goes up? All of those what if questions are really, really important to ask. And you can ask those questions. Sam, just kind of go through that process, because people will use our website. They might give you a call and they set up an introductory meeting. And what happens at that meeting? There's a lot of questions that go back and forth.
That introductory meeting is exactly what the title suggests. It's an introductory meeting. It might last 15 minutes, maybe even as long as 30 minutes, but it's an opportunity for you, if you are calling me, Randy, hey, this is why I'm calling you. This is what's on my mind. This is what keeps me up at night. And for us to do just some initial fact finding, figure out if, in fact, your concerns match up with what we're good at doing, if our expertise can bring some value to your situation. And oftentimes we know that in 10, 15 minutes. If that's the case, we'll go ahead and set up a complimentary consultation, either via Zoom or in person. And we'll take maybe an hour. And it's really, you know, you roll up your sleeves a little bit, take a deeper dive, and really just get as much intake and data as possible from our potential client. We want to ask a lot of questions like, what are you trying to do? What are some of your goals? What are your concerns? Do you want to leave money to your kids? How old are your parents? Do they live a long time? Did they go into, maybe assisted living and they spent all their money? Do we need to worry about that? Tell me about your children. Do you have one that needs more than the other? I mean, so many questions that go into the recipe. We want to make sure that we understand what it is that you need to get done. Then from that point on, we actually take that analysis and we come up with suggestions, recommendations. And many times people say, hey, you know what? This is exactly what I was looking for. I was kind of sort of, shooting at, from the hip and work in the dark. Now I can see it. Now I can visualize what my retirement is going to look like. And oftentimes people hire us and we move forward. So it's a good process.
It's called the 365 Retirement Plan. That's why the show is called the 365 Retirement Podcast. We would love for you to take a look at our website, which is 365retirement.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner, it says Talk to an Advisor. You can click on that, and you'll be on your way. We appreciate you tuning in, and we hope you'll join us next time here on the 365 Retirement Podcast.
Ryan Marston and John Conley are investment advisor representatives of Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Investment financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Sam Liang is licensed in your state, please call 617-630-8787. Rubino and Liang Wealth Partners is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Rubino and Liang Insurance Agency, LLC, Massachusetts Insurance License number 1783398.